Chapter 7 The Living Soul. Begin all acts and thinking by using El-Kalim the All. Tablet 9 The Ego. 19 times 1 equals 19. Lo, Europeans, one of the schools which I, your master teacher, known as the Reformer, Al-Mujaddid, Al-Mukhlas, Yaa-Nun, Rabboni, Al-Imam, and Melchizedek. I have many names for the many cloaks I wear. One of the schools I must take you through is the school of the ego. Know ye that this is one of the hardest attributes to destroy. This is the attribute that is carried out mostly by the evil reptilian one Samael, also known as Zuen, or the devil, he who is the son of Shakar and Melita. Reject him and his attributes, and let him or his followers not into your hearts, for he and they would only lead you through the doors of misery. However, through the teachings of the ancient mystical order of Melchizedek, also known as Ammon, you can learn how to burn out the ego. Through the journey of this holy tablet, I will part upon your minds the works of the ego. The ego is the self-arrogating aspect of the mind. The ego is the greatest obstacle to obtaining peace, for it is that which occupies the mind with whatever we are better or worse, possess more or less, and have greater or lesser powers than any others. The ego is attended by desire, pride, anger, delusion, greed, jealousy, lust, hatred, racism, and leadership. The ego is the most difficult aspect of the mind to control, for its nature is such that it deludes even while one is striving to overcome it. When the ego is subdued, energies can then be utilized constructively for personal growth and the service of others. Tablet 10 The Power of Thought. 19 times 3 equals 57. Lo, all of ye Enoshites project some kind of vibration to those around thee. Some are pleasant to be with. They seem to have a certain energy that they share with others. Then there are those who are absorbed by the negative and the depressed, and they seem to actually draw energy out of people in their environment. The reason for this, my child, is because there is a power contained in thought. Know ye that it is very subtle, yet it does exist and is extremely powerful. Whether a person is aware of it or not, the Enoshite is constantly transmitting and receiving thoughts. This, my child, is why people have experiences of what you call ESP, or extrasensory perception, from time to time. Some wish to call these experiences coincidence, but they are not. Every thought has a weight, shape, size, form, color, quality, and power. For example, a spiritual thought has a blue color. When you combine yellow and blue, you get green, the green light, while yet a thought charged with anger and hatred bears the color red. A thought is like an object. Just as an apple can be given to your friend or taken back, so it is possible to give a useful, powerful thought to someone and take it back. There is a power, an energy, into which each person can tap in if the Enoshite only knows it is available to them. This force inspires, encourages, reinforces, and gives strength to all those who seek to grow in a positive direction. Many an Enoshite, however, are unaware of this resource, or they have misconceptions about it. They are like the farmer who moved to a house in a city, and they live in darkness because he or she does not know what those strange sockets on the wall are. The light is there and available to all. John 1:5 states, "The light shineth in the darkness, but the darkness comprehendeth it not." We need only connect ourselves with the current and become a child of light. That literally means that the light will shine in the darkness, and the darkness has never been able to put it out or comprehend it. And again, in El's Holy Quran, the 57th chapter, the 28th verse, originally 94:28, in part it says, "He will provide for you a light by which ye shall walk straight in your path." And also in Daniel's, the 1st degree, the 22nd verse, which was given to our Prophet Daniel, the son of Jara and Geba, where it says, "He reveals the deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him." In respects to the laws of fate, gather, my child, there is a law in physics that states, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. To express it properly, it is said, what goes around comes around. Yeshua HaMashiach, whom you Christians call Jesus, and ye Mohammedans call Isa, who is also known spiritually as Sananda, taught. These are all expressions of the law of fate, of cause and effect. Whatever thought or deed comes from a person will be returned to the Enoshite. It may not come in the same form, but sooner or later, each person will confront the result of his or her own actions. These reactions are not always experienced immediately. Sometimes, Enoshite, reactions are not easily learned, and negative patterns may be encountered for many years. A single lifetime, my child, may not be sufficient for one to obtain perfection. Some people create a hell for themselves. This is why some people may have it hard, and others have it easy. One healthy and another is crippled. One is cheerful and another is depressed. One extrovert and another is introverted. One successful and the other unsuccessful. It is neither cruel fate nor a distant and unconcerned fate that set the stage for these situations, but one's own fate, you, as revealed to our servant Ahmed, who is called in tones Ahmed, and in rhythm Muhammad, who is the son of Abdullah and Amina. It is he who receives Del's Quran from the Anunnaki Elohim Nusku, and he who bears the title Gabriel, the son of Raziel and Zamael, where it states in the original order, the 92nd chapter, the 79th verse in part, an Enoshite's life is his or her own responsibility. Tablet 11, Health and Relaxation. 19 times 3 equals 38. Lo, O my children, what I must impart upon your minds is the importance of a healthy mind, body and soul, and proper relaxation. Remember, my child, the very words healthy and health begin with the word heal. To heal oneself is step one. To heal one's mind will heal one's whole body, and relaxation is simply to learn to relax. What you must remember always is, by taking proper care of your physical body, you are protecting your inner spirit, and by poisoning your physical body, be it through drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, junk food, sugars or salts, and I can go on and on, you are doing serious harm to your spirit, and it becomes weaker and weaker. Through the teachings of the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek Ammon, you will be taught on how to nourish your body as well as your soul. Know ye that proper exercise and proper breathing, proper relaxation, proper diet, and intake of much water and positive thinking are the requisite attendant that lead to healthy, dynamic, and effective existence. Proper relaxation is needed to maintain mental, spiritual, and physical health. Many of you think that relaxation involves leaving home for some exotic place where the mind and body are carelessly pumped with stimulants and depressants and a full range of other damaging delights. True relaxation comes from removing the stimuli, visual, edible, and otherwise, and tuning into the inner awareness. Like any piece of sturdy machinery, Enoshite's physical and mental bodies can take quite a bit of abuse before giving any signs of protest. Unfortunately, in Western thinking, it has become practice to ignore the basic rules of health, and the concept to think that a pill here and there will relieve the symptoms will actually bring about well-being, and quite the opposite is true. Pain in the body is a warning, like a red light on an instrument panel of a car. Taking this or that compound of chemicals to remove the symptoms is the same thing as taking a hammer and breaking the red light. It does nothing to solve the problem, and in fact makes it worse. While only giving the appearance of helping, many chemicals ingested are not useful to the body and cannot be eliminated, and therefore merely stored. The medicines accumulate along with the food additives that are eaten in such abundance. On the average of 25 pounds per person per year, they combine with each other to literally poison the system. The effects may not be felt for many years. This does not mean that there is no need for modern medicine, yet the herb of your own choice is much better. But often, doctors are considered to have some sort of absolute knowledge. Too often, frequent visits to the local GP, general practitioners or specialists, psychologists are substituted for living a healthy life. Most of the diseases of the mind and body can be eliminated by following the 5 basic points. Tablet 12, Diet. 19 times 5 equals 95. Lo, you should ponder on taking proper diet for yourself, which you can learn through the teachings of the ancient mystic order of Melchizedek. Improper diet is another hindrance to spiritual progress. All foods have distinct energies, just as the physical body is formed from the gross physical portions of the foods that are eaten, so the mind is formed from the more subtle portions. If the food is impure, the mind also becomes impure. Cigarettes, liquor, narcotics, and fast foods, and too much meat are the most detrimental. In fact, meat at all. Meals should be simple, light and nutritious. Seafood, my child, is healthy, however not in excess. Most people eat far more than is necessary, merely out of habit, for a sense of gratification. An immoderate diet is the cause of great majority of diseases which are encountered in modern society. The mind is always looking for an excuse to avoid discipline. You must also listen to the inner voice of the self. There are two sides to you, 180 degrees of agreeable and 180 degrees of disagreeable. 1% is all that is needed to shift your emotion. 181 to the left start the path of disagreeable action or very agreeable. You are in control. Listen to the voice of agreeable things rather than to the complaints of the disagreeable. What goes into the human body correlates directly to the efficiency with which the brain will function. Recent studies show that certain red food coloring creates hyperactivity in children and that refined sugar can cause emotional instability. And this is what most start their children on. These are just two examples of the substance that are heedlessly consumed without understanding the effect on the body and mind, each of which have two parts. The body is one voluntary, two involuntary, that which you control and that which takes control of itself. The mind, one good and two evil, which also try to take control. Many intakes are bad, although not categorized as harmful foods. These substances should be strictly avoided. Marijuana, cigarettes, alcohol, drugs. There is a growing awareness that our health is directly affected by what we eat. Almost any disease can be cured by either a change in diet or a short period of fasting, and with no meditation at all. This is not only true of physical disorders, but many mental difficulties as well. It is particularly important that pregnant mothers have this awareness. Far too often, they do not realize the effect of their diet on the developing fetus. Contrary to the popular concept, it is not vegetarians who do not get enough protein, but rather heavy meat eaters who take an excess of protein. Animal protein contains a high concentration of uric acid, which is a nitrogen compound similar to ammonia. It is not water soluble and it cannot be broken down by the liver. Thus, though a certain amount is eliminated, the greater portion of uric acid is deposited in the joints. The result of this is referred to as arthritis. Hardening of the arteries and heart disease are two of the most common maladies in the Western world, where the greatest amount of meat is consumed. The culprit, my child, is cholesterol, which also cannot be eliminated from the body. This forms fatty deposits along the walls of the heart and arteries and is gradually thickening until they are clogged and inflexible. A major source of cholesterol comes from the hundreds of pounds of animal tissue and its fats that each person consumes each year. Heart disease, hardening of the arteries and arthritis are common infirmities. However, the one that strikes the most fear in the hearts of Westerners is cancer. Many substances have been found to create cancer in animals. However, results always seem to indicate that the amount consumed by the average person is insufficient to create cancer. What is not revealed is that the accumulation of these poisons over a period of years does create cancer. These substances have innumerable chemicals that are injected into animals. These increase weight to yield more dollars per animal. Nitrates, food coloring, artificial hormones, and even arsenic are amongst the chemicals contained in animal flesh by the time it gets to the supermarket shelf. These, plus many other additives consumed by members of an industrialized society, collect in the body and they are stored in the tissues. Cancer occurs when the cells react to these excessive toxins, in a sense, mutating into cells which reproduce uncontrollably. So much for the horrors of the meat industry. There are several other interesting physical and spiritual reasons for not eating meat. One is that it takes 4 times as much grain to feed animals than for an Enoshite to consume it directly. This raises a moral question in regard to sharing our resources with poorer people. Plants are the original source of energy for all living things, as they store the energy of Shamash the sun through photosynthesis. A person who does not eat a lot of meat not only taxes nourishment from the original source, but their diet is more economical with regards to cost, and it is the best utilization of available land. Seafood is very good for you, but that too can be taken in excess. Another more interesting fact is that the Enoshite's digestive system is not one of a carnivore. His or her teeth are designed through mutation for biting and mashing original vegetables, but after so much mixing, now many Nuwarpians have canine teeth for tearing flesh, which is why Enoshite ages, tenderizes and cooks his or her meat to make it more edible. Diet also alters the person's very appearance from human to animal, as well as his or her nature. Meat eaters are much more violent. The human liver is proportionally smaller than that of meat-eating animals, and it is not built to handle the filtering of animal poisons. Also, the alimentary canal, which is short in carnivorous animals, speeds poisons through the body quickly. It is quite long in an Enoshite, as it is in any vegetarian animal. Note, the untruth that you need meat, or that you will lose weight if you don't eat meat. Herbivores are much larger than carnivorous animals. Tablet 13, Concentration. 19 times 3 equals 57. Low. Concentration, my child, is the act or process of concentrating. To concentrate is to focus, center, or to bring or direct one's mind towards a common center or objective. Concentration is a very important principle, one that you should practice and try to master. For contrary to the belief that the art of concentration is simple, efficient concentration is not easily achieved. Your world, O mortal, is the materialization of thought forms of divine intelligence. It exists as vibration. Just as there are waves of heat, light, electricity, and energy, there are also thought waves. Thought has tremendous power. Everyone experiences it to some degree. It could be used 1,000 times more efficiently. If one had a comprehensive understanding of the working of thought vibration, the techniques for controlling them, and the method of transmitting them to others at a distance, which is called telepathy, telepath, the path through mind to mind, one of your 4 higher senses. By understanding and realizing the powers of the mind, one can see distant objects, hear distant sounds, send messages to any part of the universe, heal people thousands of miles away, and move to distant places in no time. There is no limit to the power of the mind. Consider, when flowing loosely over a wide area, every force in nature moves slowly and with less power than if gathered in one mass and directed through a single restricted outlet. Dammed and accumulated, the once sluggish and leisurely flow of a river rushes out with amazing force through the stream. The warm rays of Shamash, which you know as the sun, focused through a magnifying glass, becomes hot enough to burn objects. Such is the power generated by the concentration of force. This natural law is also applicable to the Enoshite in all branches of activity. Mental concentration is the fixing of the mind for an extended period of time on one external point. There can be no concentration without something on which the gathered rays of the mind can rest. It must be a single object or idea. People sometimes pride themselves on being able to think of 2 things at once. The mind does not work that way. Its oscillating waves are merely bouncing back and forth with lightning velocity between the 2 ideas. The mind can only do one thing at a time. Anyone who can imagine that a mundane chore such as dishwashing can go faster if they are thinking of palm trees and a sunny beach are fooling themselves. Their mind waves are moving between a daydream and the task at hand. The attention actually given to the work is thus slowed down because of constant interruptions, and the hands slow down too. How much better to keep the mind on one point and finish the job in half the time. Everyone possesses the ability to concentrate to some degree. What has once been cloudy and hazy becomes clear and definite. What has once been difficult, complex and confusing becomes easy. One is able to work with greater efficiency, to turn out more work in less time, and to increase one's earning capacity. Concentration can also prevent or minimize the problems of salinity. With the utmost concentrated attention, the surgeon operates on his or her patient. Deepest absorption marks the state of the technician, engineer, architect, or painter engaged in drawing the minute details of the plan chart or sketch, in which accuracy is of the highest importance. The same concentration is necessary on the spiritual path, where the aspiration must deal with the internal forces. For progress to be made, it must be developed to a very high degree. Practice demands patience, will, untiring persistence and regularity. There is no shortcuts along the spiritual path. Tablet 14, Pleasure in the Mind. 19 times 2 equals 38. Lo, I, your master teacher, will speak to you on pleasures. Worldly pleasures intensify the desire for greater enjoyment. The mind can never be satisfied, no matter how many pleasures it is fed. Emotions become dangerous when they become motion. It is these emotions that make you fight, which leads to wars. Emotions will lead to greed, which causes you to overeat and leads to diseases, or you eat yourself to obesity or death. Emotions are what lead to your need and what you want, and sex which leads to lust. Luster. You are exceptionally apt to get AIDS if you let your emotions be controlled by lust, or the luster of it makes you go out and buy a sexual instrument to give you pleasure. Then you will be an AIDS victim, because the fact that you need a vibrator shows you have a lack of self-control. And if the opportunity arises for you to have sex, you'll take chances, not caring what the consequences might be, even if it's possible death. When you're emotional and calm, you're okay. I'm not saying don't have feelings. Don't cry or let your anger get you into trouble because you can't control your mouth. When you are over-emotional sexually, you take chances you normally wouldn't, and you regret it once you have AIDS because you can't do anything about it. When you're over-emotional, you can get into a fight and have regrets, or a person who is obese now has regrets that they're fat and say, I wish I could lose weight. Like getting fat wasn't their problem from the beginning. It's your own trinity, me, myself, and I. These emotions lead to other emotions like fear and regret. A person with AIDS now realizes I'm going to die. The person who is obese and has all this fat around their heart realizes with their added worry, aggravation, which increases the chances of dying, say, I'm going to die, and emotions link into motion. When you give into your emotion, you give up a part of your divinity. That means when you're upset by something, you are no longer in control of yourself, and therefore you're under the rule of another. You can't stay out of your mind. However, you can be under or in control of your own divinity and surrender your divinity to another who is in authority. The saying is, believe in yourself, then they say believe in God. They told you who and what you are in the scripture of our Apostle John, called in tones Yaa-Nun and in rhythm Yaa-Nun. The 10th degree, 34th verse, where it states, Jesus answered him saying, is it not written in your law, I said you are God? And again in the scripture, which was received by our prophet David, called in tones Dawid and in rhythm Dawood. The book of Psalms, 82nd degree and the 6th verse, where it states, I said, you are gods and all of you are children of the Most High. For instance, when you humble yourself to someone, you are surrendering your divinity to them, but can regain it back. It's not like once you lose your divinity that you can't regain it again. You lose it within your free will, so you can't earn it back when you will. Don't mix humbleness up with submission. They are not the same. No man knows less than the one who knows it all. Tablet 15. The more it possesses, the more it wants. 19 times 1 equals 19. Lo. Without knowing it, Enoshites are exceedingly plagued by the instability of their own minds. Most humans are about as happy as they make up their own minds to be. In order to remove this sort of trouble, the craving for sensory stimulation must be removed. Once the mind has been stilled and concentrated, it no longer possesses one to seek further pleasures. The senses can be controlled through reduction of wants and activities. Dietary discipline is essential. Furthermore, one should avoid undesirable company, as well as stimulants and depressants. Television, cinemas and newspapers, which agitate the mind, should be reduced and replaced with periods of sitting in silence and solitude. There is really no right way to do the wrong things. By witnessing and tempering desires and emotions, the qualities of egoism, anger, greed, lust and hatred are eradicated, which means to rip out from the roots and to destroy. One should not allow the mind to dissipate its energy on useless vain thoughts, worries, imagination and fears. One thing you cannot recycle is wasted thoughts and time. By manipulating the mind, one is able to bring it under control and compel it to concentrate its powers. However, one must not wrestle with it. Lost time is never returned. Struggle only sets more mental waves into motion. The sum total of all pleasures in the world is nothing compared to the bliss derived from meditation. Feed your mind meditations, and doubt and idle time will starve to death. Tablet 16. Saving energy. 19 times 1 equals 19. Lo. To reduce the outflow waste of mental energies, the senses must be subjugated. 1/4 of one's energy is diverted to digestion of food, which is often eaten for the pleasure of the taste buds rather than for sustenance. Additional mental and physical energy is squandered in useless idle talking. Learn to have control of the tongue, my child, by observing silence for an hour or two a day. Our senses have been habitually overfed and geared to gluttony. The greatest of our faults is to think we have none. One should examine all worldly habits and curtail them sharply. Fasting of the mind is when thoughts are weaned from attachment to many fleeting sensations that they feed upon. The senses do not convey experiences without the cooperation of the mind. An agreeable exercise is to not allow the senses to come in contact with their object. For example, if certain music or TV programs are found to leave the mind in an agitated state, they should be eliminated. By withdrawing the mind, the senses are also withdrawn. Remember, if you don't care where your life is going, then any road will lead you there. Tablet 17. Attention. 19 times 1 equals 19. Low. In everyday situations, one should develop the faculty of attention. Concentration itself is a narrowing of the field of attention. The entire attention is thrown into whatever is being done. The individual becomes lost in the job at hand. One must concentrate on the work and rigorously shut out all other thoughts. No work can be done successfully without calmness and concentration. In this way, the mind becomes one-pointed. Failure is a stranger to work done with perfect attention. When one sits for meditation, there should be no thought of job-related work. When doing the job-related work, household chores should never enter the mind. In training the mind to attend only to the work at hand, there will also be a development of will and memory. You should keep it in your memory the importance of work. A person with an agreeable concentration can accomplish a task in half the time, and with twice the accuracy that would take the average person. It is easy to pay attention to what is pleasant, but the mind is naturally attracted to what pleases it. A beneficial exercise is to fix the attention on an unpleasant task from which one you may have previously shrunk. Under scrutiny, they become interesting, and interest reduces the unpleasantness. It's very nice to be important, however, it's more important to be nice. Tablet 18. From unreal to real. 19 times 3 equals 57. Low. There are experiences, my child, which cannot be described, just as colours cannot be described to a blind Enoshite. However, all ordinary experiences are limited by time, space, and the law of cause and effect. Normal awareness and understanding do not transcend these bounds. Finite experience is measured in terms of past, present, and future. These concepts of times are illusory, for they have no permanence. In measure small and fleeting, the presence cannot be grasped. Both past and future are non-existent in the present, and therefore unreal. Yet we live in a world of illusions. With meditation comes freedom, freedom from fear of death. Most of ye mortals ponder that death is the end of existence. However, in fact, death only means the extinction of the present name and form. The greater the identification with name and form, the greater the fear. Living a righteous way of life induces detachment from name and from form, and makes one aware of the ever-changing nature of the body and all of the phenomenal existence. In recognizing the ephemerality of it all, one realizes the impossibility of holding on to anything, including one's cumbersome ego identity. When this need to grasp disappears, the fear of losing what one never really possessed vanishes. Immortality is within reach. Remember, the real fear is the lack of true faith. In respects to the ultimate reality, my children, I have introduced you to the existence of the All El-Kaloom, that some call quantum physics. Know ye that El-Kaloom, the All alone, is real. All gods, be they called Buddha, Krishna, Isis, Anu, Yahweh, Horus, Adonai, El-Eloh, Amun-Ra, Khnum, Theos, Dios, Obatala, Rab, Mazda, Elohim, Osiris, Elohumma, Supreme Being, Atun, Creator, Sebet, Most High, Shango, are all in the All. The world of illusion is unreal. Idol worship is unreal. Idol worship is not evil, for no idol can be the All. The individual soul is eventually returned to the All, for all things exist within the All. From within the All is where you came, and within the All is where you will return. This ultimate reality is beyond the reach of the limited intellect, and within the reach of the unlimited intellect and the knowable world, you must begin to understand a new physics. It's called quantum physics. Renunciation alone, the abandonment of all worldly attachments, can lead to knowledge of the absolute. This is achieved through the process of negation of all worldly desires, identifications, qualification and extensions. The precepts of Tammuz, who some of you call Isa or Yeshua, Sananda, Christ, Horus or sonship, must be practiced, for you are the child of the Most High El, who is in the All. To attain freedom, One must engage in solid spiritual practice. His teachings must enter your bones, nerve cells, and interior chambers of your heart. Lip confession and the praising of his name as Jesus is not only inadequate and sufficient, it is sinful. It is pure hypocrisy. We should become absolutely fearless. This life is in reality. No more words, no more talk, no more arguments, heated debates or discussions, no more study, no more wandering. As he said, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. John 14:10. You say, I am in the All, and the All is in me. Become the Christ. Live in truth. Enter silence. There is peace. Peace in silence. That's Nawupu. That's right knowledge, which leads one to right wisdom and a right understanding. Tablet 19. Self. 19 times 3 equals 57. Lo. There are various methods for realizing the self. All are based on the removal of limiting ideas in regards to oneself and the universe, just as a container creates the illusion that the space inside is separate and smaller, so the mind creates its own walls, and hence the illusion of separation from the self. Not this, not that. This is the method of analysis by negation or denial. It is a means of approach. By finding out what a particular subject is not like, one can move towards an understanding of what it is like. Through this process of negation, one can approach an understanding of real happiness by realizing that it does not lie in wealth, power, or fame, or any other object of worldly pursuit. Through negation of everything that can be known via the senses, one exhausts the mental modifications, and she finds the answer within. Ultimately, direct experience is necessary, for it is not a matter of intellectual understanding. An Enoshite is not his or her house, nor is he or she their job. For these are subject to change, but an Enoshite remains the same. It is useless to identify with clothing or hairstyle, yet all are subject to this form of illusion from time to time. The real you, which is sometimes called the self, is one's essential nature, which is neither body nor senses. The body and senses are mere external qualities of the self. The serious spiritual person negates identification with all things of this world which are not real. The Enoshite negates the mind by saying, I am not this personality, I am not these desires, I am not these fears, until eventually all things within worldly experience are negated. Nothing remains but the self. In this kind of meditation, union with the Absolute is achieved by denial of the body, mind, name, form, intellect, senses, and all limiting adjuncts. The true I remains, which is absolute existence, knowledge, bliss. One should observe the play of life as though he or she were watching a movie, but again, he does not identify with it. Whatever situations one experiences, his or her reaction should be, I am not involved in this, I am only watching it happen. This entails introspection, a close awareness of the mental waves. The mind does not want to be watched, and will slow down its activities, but it does not give up without a struggle. In many ways, it will deceive and persuade one to stop watching it. It is such a powerful force that it is capable of dragging the attention wherever it goes, unless extreme watchfulness is practiced. Many times, it will divert attention from its focus. One must observe this with patience, then firmly return to the witness state, taking care not to fight the mind, but only to gently guide it. Tablet 20. Eloh the Most High is one. 19 times 2 equals 38. Lo, I am in the All, and the All is in me, Zadok Yeshua stated, as recorded in the letters of Yohanan bar Zebedee, whom ye call John son of Zebedee, the 10th chapter, the 30th verse. I and the Father are one. And again, in the letters of Yohanan John, the 14th chapter, the 9th verse, he that have seen me have seen the Father. There are no qualities in the universes that are not in the human body. An atom is a complete replica of the solar system, with electrons encircling the nucleus, just as planets revolve around Shamash, your sun. The atom is a microcosm, small, and everything that is happening in the microcosms of the human body is also occurring in Tiamat, called also Orb, Ereth, Terra, Eridu, Ard, which ye mortals call the planet Earth, and in the universe, individual cosmic creation and destruction is taking place all the time. Instead of identifying with the individual self, which is only a tiny function of the universal scheme, one can find his or her larger identity by merging with the cosmos itself. Make him or her a cosmoson. It is a matter in its most subtle state. Before Shamash the sun and Tiamat the planet Earth came into existence, there were gas molecules, and before evolving into the molecular state, they existed in etheric or energy state. The water molecule is composed of atoms of hydrogen and oxygen. When atoms were smashed in the cyclotron, it was discovered that this was not the end of matter. Regardless to what extent scientists subdivide atoms, they continue to find smaller as quarks and smaller particles as biaps. If Tiamat the planet Earth and Shamash the sun were suddenly blown into pieces, the matter would revert to energy, being called nothing less than solid, liquid and gas. Beyond these three is a state of nothingness or ether. Ultimately, it would return to the all. Being yet still a part of the all, the journey is shot, it's within itself. Being a part of the all is being the all. You can't take from the all, for where would you put it? You can't add to the all, for where would you get it from? So all gods, deities, statues, images, idols and desires to be is in the all. Tablet 21. Anu is oneness. 19 times 2 equals 38. Lo, O ye Enoshites, ponder on this thought. A close look at these elements, which ye take for granted, leaves one in awe of the guiding cosmic intelligence. Water H2O, for instance, is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. When hydrogen is by itself and comes into contact with fire, it reacts with an explosion. Oxygen reacts with fire to make it burn more fiercely, yet in combination as water, they will quench fire and cool off the body. If one professes of having any intelligence at all, he or she must ask him or herself, what is the source of this intricate engineering? Only an intelligent power is capable of such creation. Eloh the Most High, also called Anu, Al-Aliyu, Yahuwah and Anu. All life is interconnected. Animals breathe in oxygen, the byproduct of plants, and they exhale carbon dioxide. In their bodies, the oxygen combines with glucose to produce energy for various bodily functions. Plants take in carbon dioxide, and they release oxygen into the air, which is then used by the animals. They take nutrients from the soil and use the sunlight for photosynthesis. An Enoshite eats the plants for nourishment, and when he or she dies, his or her body is returned to Tiamat the planet Earth, to the Adama, to the ground, where it becomes food for the plants. This is but one small example of the complicated and interdependent relationships that exist among all things. It hardly seems possible that such a world could have been created by an accident of nature. Relationships like this exist throughout the cosmos. Consider the size of the universe. It is impossible that these miracles occur only on Tiamat, the planet Earth. How many suns with planets can there be in this galaxy, and how many galaxies can there be? How large is the universe? Its size cannot be imagined, nor can the number of planets capable of supporting life be counted. Yet there are those known in Orion to have life, and from Risk, the 8th planet in Ilion, the 19th galaxy, from which I come forth to you, by way of the Merkaba, a divine light vehicle, also called the Sham. There are physical laws which cause the planet to rotate and to revolve around Shamash the sun in certain precise ways. These same laws cause whole solar systems, indeed even galaxies, to hurtle through space at tremendous speed, all in perfect coordination. These laws cannot have accidentally come about without an originating cause. Only a guiding intelligence could be responsible. Eloh, the Most High, is the source. All is in the all. The all is not an it, a he or a she. The all is.